that they've done that they do like everyone who talks shit about their energy drink, or not energy drink, I'm sorry, the water, they turn into like music albums.
No.
They have like a metal album, they have an 80s album, they have a yacht rock album.
Oh, that's really cool.
Find them on Spotify. Liquid Death? You guys haven't seen the Spotify albums?
No.
Oh my God, yeah, look them up. It's literally people be like, this tastes like garbage. Just like in Death Growl or
Sparkling
like,
water.
It makes me want to kill myself. Ah!
What the That is so funny.
Yep. So
In Minecraft.
it's like the worst. It's like the worst reviews, but in like song form. So they just kind of make fun of themselves on it. It's great. Yeah. Hold on. Liquid Death songs. It blacked out. Oh, we can't see it. Oh, sad. The whole
It's just a
screen
black
was black.
screen for us now. I think
Oh,
we were
black.
trying to show off.
There it
Liquid
is.
Death.
See,
What?
see that they're
Do they have like?
their top song.
Wait. Are they the artists or are they?
Yeah,
No, so they
that
hire
was my
artists,
question.
and then they do a. It's so.
collab?
What was the greatest hits they did were in 2023? That was their 80s. That was their 80s one. The one before that is. Yeah, worst name for a water company.
I'd say we should play the songs, but you know.
But these are written by artists that they collaborate with and
Well, they're
performed by them
written
as well.
by reviewers.
They're
and
written
then
by
they're-
reviewers.
no way!
And then they hire artists to sing lyrics.
That is
To sing them
so
in lyrics.
funny.
That's great.
So like that's
No
why
way.
that's why the titles of them are actually the titles of the review, and then the lyrics are just the review that they gave about this.
There's no alcohol in this. I'm sure it's been
That's
around.
actually what they say. That's
Yeah.
literally it.
I'm sure it's been around for a while. But like just that concept of taking reviews and turning it into song format. But there's this one guy that I was introduced to it from on social media. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but I think he's doing a conversation between like a Facebook marketplace conversation.
Okay.
And the, like the first line is like, "Good evening. Is this available?" And then the next line is, "Yes, it is." But then it's like ... and like no response. But and then it like turns where the Facebook or where the person who was being contacted for the merchandise was like, "Stop messaging me." And it just got really weird, but the song is so funny. Yeah, this is the guy.
Oh my God.
Oh.
Wild.
Can we hear it or
I don't know if we can.
probably not?
No
Yeah,
audio.
hear it. It's okay.
Somebody would be like, "That's mine."
Copyright. Yeah. It's okay. Interesting.
It's so funny. But yeah, I love the idea of like taking reviews and stuff like that and turning it into.
But to your point, that's where we're very much Liquid Death, having something that like transcends that and goes deeper into their horror, like almost lore that they have around the drinks that they build now.
Yeah.
That like something could be done there.
Yeah.
Do they do lore? Like they have lore and stuff?
The
Yeah, like
dead celebrity.
yeah, Dead Celebrity.
Oh.
They tried to do Arnold Palmer, but then they got sued from Arnold Palmer.
Oh,
so
I
they were
feel
like,
I heard about
"Oh,
that.
we can't do that. So fine, we're just gonna call it Dead Celebrity, and it's the same drink." So now
Okay.
that's like
That's
their-
great.
their drink. But
Wow.
if you look at
I'm
like some
guessing.
of the
I'm
stuff,
guessing Arnold Palmer's dead.
Yeah, I don't know the
yes.
lore behind that.
Arnold Palmer
Isn't he a golfer? Or was
He
it
was a golfer, but it was half. His the drink that he had was like half lemonade, half tea.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so you can't legally use
It
his
was
name.
originally named Armless Palmer.
Oh, LOL. Yeah.
That seems a little
Oh,
infringing.
dead billion. Wait, did they call it Dead Billionaire? LOL. That's funny.
Yeah, they just seem like a very tongue-in-cheek
Yeah.
company,
Yes.
and I think that's like it's perfect for like horror and comedy.
It's also great for like if you're at a music festival or something like that and you just see tongue in cheek, you're like, "That's good. I'm gonna get that. That's funny." You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
People that are more chill, I guess.
I think we see it with brands, and then we also see it with other creators of they just like take themselves too seriously almost,
Yeah,
and you lose like a sense of personality and a way to connect with them if they would just like relax and have fun and I don't know, just stop taking themselves.
I totally
Yeah.
agree with that, but I also I'm thinking about these companies like a Google. Is there a way that any of these guys could shift their perspective after already having been established? I feel like you have to already
You have to do it carefully.
You have to be a super, like Wendy's tried to do it, I think.
To,
You know
like,
what I mean?
I mean, I kind of did that in a way where I was known for like.
Before I want to cut you off,
Uh-huh.
sorry, before you start going into it, because we are live and we are into our episode, and so because I want to give at least some history on you for the audience. Before you hop in.
We're live.
I'm sorry, but we're live. We're here. I forget what episode we're on anymore. Every time we have to be. It's 9. Okay, we are here. We're live. We're on episode 9. We have,
Hell yeah.
Welcome to FQS. We talk about content creation, live streaming, fun things happening in the industry. I'm Cody.
What up, everybody? I'm Garrett.
We have Brody here.
What's up?
Wanted to go and
What's up?
welcome to the show. Glad to have you here this week.
Thanks for having me.
Pleasure to have you, man.
Yeah.
For the audience and for people watching, like, talked a little bit about, like, you obviously had this like rise to almost TikTok stardom, right?
Mhm.
In terms of your following. I'd love to hear from you kind of how that got started, like what you do now, where you're going, what you've done,
Okay.
all the stuff.
What's your lore in 3 words?
Yeah, what's your lore?
3 words.
Yeah.
Okay. God, I wish that I was sharp enough to come up with 3
fine,
words
it's
on the
fine,
spot like
it's fine.
that. Yeah. So I started off studying acting and always wanted to be an actor and was pursuing the acting career, which means you're definitely working somewhere else in the meantime. So I was working at Texas Roadhouse.
Mm.
Roadhouse.
Roadhouse. Oh yeah, peanuts and the honey cinnamon butter bread.
Not
Mm,
sponsored.
that bread. Not sponsored.
Yet.
Yet. And I was, auditioning on the side. COVID hit, closed the restaurant that I was working at down, and I had a lot of free time on my hands. And my sister told me about TikTok, and I had like messed around and on Vine back in the day, like just doing like some lip syncs, and I didn't get heavily into it, and I didn't have a following of any kind, and I never thought that I would get into social media, but then I started creating content, and a couple videos went viral. I started to like think to myself like, oh, I think I can like make a career out of this. And, reached out to marketing agencies, got a marketing agent, and then, kind of like created funny videos. Now I'm creating scary videos, and now I'm trying to work my way into the filmmaking industry. So that's the story in a nutshell.
Yeah.
There's like so many different like juicy, and I guess like that's the purpose of the podcast.
Yeah,
Right?
so,
Like, let's get into the juice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta squeeze the juice. It's like a juicer.
Yeah, it's a juicer.
You're going to get shredded.
I don't know about that, but yeah,
But that's like the gist of it. As far as like everything that happens in between, I guess it depends on like what we're focusing on.
Sure.
But I guess to kind of circle back to what we were talking about kind
Yeah.
of like shortly before we went live is we were talking about brands and, how brands work with creators and like how brands are constantly thinking of their image. And, Garrett mentioned what it's like for a brand to shift their image. And it was kind of something that I did with my content creating because I was known for like 3 niches.
Sure.
I was known for making fun of Twilight, not sponsored, I guess. I don't know. Twilight's not a brand. Anyway.
I mean, it turned into a brand.
It turned into a brand
Into
for
a
sure. The house that they filmed in is like a tourist trap. You can like stay there.
I did not.
Oh,
know
Yeah,
that.
it's like booked for like years.
Yeah.
But those are the ones that like caught traction on your social media first. It was like
Yes.
Twilight.
Yes, was Twilight and putting my upper half on people's lower halves, which sounds like really
Okay.
weird, but it's just
All
a
right.
way to like stitch the video together, and I would make goofy facial expressions. And then I guess like producer's kid, which is like this kid who wears an astronaut helmet and who would come in and add his like personal dash to music, but it was always like the screams that you hear in a song or whatever. And so it was just like funny skits, and it was all comedy.
Yeah.
And then because I wanted to break into the filmmaking industry and really wanted to explore my own personal potential
Yeah.
and push myself as like a cinematographer and as a director and a writer and all this stuff and telling like long form stories. I did research and I was like, what's the best genre to start off in?
Mm.
And all signs pointed to horror, and I love horror. And we were starting to see a lot of filmmakers like Jordan Peele and the Filippo twins and Zach Kreger and all of these guys who started in comedy transition over to horror, and their films rock.
Yeah.
Like they know something, and I think that there's a lot of similarities between comedy and horror.
Sure.
And so making that transition it took a lot of experimenting. You know, I had to throw some paint at the wall and just see like what worked.
I mean,
And
comedy and horror are like pretty parallel in my mind.
it's like math, you know?
Okay.
You know, it's
Yeah.
like they both have their equations.
Sure.
They
and,
do.
and you know, like comedy
It's
is just,
timing.
yeah, it's timing. You know, it's all about building up the joke and, you know, not going too long, not like telling too long of a joke, but not it being too short, because those are just like tongue in cheek. But finding that nice balance of like the length of a joke and then the delivery. And horror is the same way. It's building tension, not too much tension, not too little tension, but just the right amount of tension, and then a jump scare. But then, like, I think what I find is the fun part about horror is you can be really good at doing too much tension, and like you're forcing the audience to like kind of just like hold on to this bit of anxiety, and you think that it's going to get released and it doesn't get released, and you're like, God, I just like scared me already.
Yeah.
But yeah, they have a lot of similarities, and it was just a lot of experimenting and a very slow process on transitioning. And then I discovered the best part of transitioning between those two genres is to like don't give up one entirely. You know, still hold on to your brand and like what you're good at, and you know that's making people laugh. And so now, like, you know, hold on to that while you're pursuing this new adventure. And so, yeah, I mean,
We've talked on previous episodes about how hard it is for brands to pivot, right? Like people follow you initially for something, but that may not match with the artist's vision and growth over time. Like I was talking about like Getter last week about how Getter went from dubstep and then he was like, I want to do house now. Like that's just not really what my vision is. And he got a lot of pushback from his audience from it, to the point where he almost stopped music entirely. How has been that transition for you from coming from that comedy, almost playfulness, to being like, hey, I want to do horror now, and you're doing these horror reels? Has your audience received it well? Have they been supportive, or has that transition, like, how has that transition been?
yeah, they've been incredibly supportive. Even before that, even before I was doing like comedy horror, kind of like where I've found myself now.
Sure.
When I was just straight up doing horror, and sometimes I'm not even in the videos, and it was still really well received.
Really?
And it did really well. And so I think like it, because of that, and like, you know, I'm super grateful for my audience, because I can imagine pursuing something that you're passionate about and getting pushback.
Sure.
That's got to be tough. That's got to be hard, and like
Yeah.
mentally, just a mental battle that you're playing, because it's like I'm doing this thing that I love, but I'm not getting the support that I thought that I would. So that's got to be super difficult. But I'm super gracious to have an audience that was very open to it. And you know, I'd get comments that would joke around, being like, "Isn't this the dude that made fun of Twilight? he's doing this now. This is like awesome."
That's good.
So yeah, I've been very lucky, for sure.
So pivoting that into the transition of where you've been doing it for social media, and now you're having to move into film, right?
Mhm.
Which is, it's same avenue but somewhat different at the same time.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about that process for for you having to make that transition? Has it been mainly a structural thing for you, or has it been more of like organizing with a team that is bigger, or what's been the feelings or the challenges that you've had to get through?
I mean, it's a completely different beast that you have to learn to navigate, and you got to be way more patient. And I know that we touched on this a little bit earlier, like coming from social media and years of almost instant dopamine, instant like gratification, like very quickly if your video is good or not, and then if it's not, you just move on to the next one.
Yep.
If it does well, you kind of like let it ride a little bit, and then you work on the next one. And so like, film is just it's a lot of talking. It's a lot of meeting new companies, new people, people that are like high up in some of these production companies, but you end up just like talking about yourself a lot over and over and over again as you're meeting all these companies, and eventually you get kind of tired of talking about yourself. Not to say that I'm tired of talking about myself.
Someone who sits in sales all the time.
Yeah.
What do you do? Well, this is what I do.
Yeah.
This is what I've done. You should work with me because
I think I've heard the same pitch come out of Cody's room like 100 times.
Yeah.
I'm naturally loud, so it just resonates through the halls. How many times I've had to go through the same shtick.
But like it's just it's a different group of people, and I get that, and it takes time to build relationships, it takes time to build trust. And so it's since the success of Obsession and Backrooms, it's put me in front of a lot of like really cool people that like do really cool things, and like I'd really love to work with them. But I know that it's like it's a business, and they're investing a lot of money in people, and so it just takes a while to make sure that it's right, And so coming from social media into filmmaking, it was a tough transition, but I do kind of feel like I'm kind of like easing into it, where it's like,
sure,
this is just the nature of the thing. We go into a Zoom call, we shoot the shit, we talk about horror, how much we love it. And then it's like, all right, hope to hear from you soon.
See you later. We'll read it.
Yeah. But I feel like I'm making a solid transition. There was a rough week where it was like a lot of anxiety. Yeah, where it's kind of it's when you're starting any kind of new avenue.
Sure.
It's like unsettling to start, and I think your body is like super resistant, and your mind is super resistant towards it, and so like you get filled with anxieties, you get filled with self-doubt, you start to wonder like, God, am I like really dull? Like why am I not getting a call back the next day?
Yeah.
But that's just not the nature of the business. These guys they're making a lot of movies. They're making a lot of like deals that, multi-million-dollar deals on probably a daily basis. And so it just takes time.
Sure. Just got to be patient.
Does.
But I think it's interesting that you talk about that versus like, obviously the one thing that I've talked about before, and I think this kind of goes into some of my topic that I was going to talk about today, how YouTube is trying to focus, instead of having this studio model, which what you're talking about, very much that the studio goes and decides what we think is hot and what we think is not. That, hey, here's an idea, we think it's good, here's $50 million, go like make this thing, and then it's a gamble on whether or not like there's an audience behind it, right? And then you end up with surprises where you have like Obsession that is a low budget that makes buku bucks at the box office. But then you also have the flip where you have movies that spend $100, $200 million and go nowhere, right? What YouTube is trying to work on, and they've kind of focused on the last 2 years, is they've announced that they're making their UI more like Netflix. That they're changing the way their content is presented to more on TVs to look more like episodic content you would find like Hulu, Netflix, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But the other part of that transition is that that at Brandcast this year, they announced that they're trying to provide financing structures for creators who are already successful with programs
Mhm.
and be able to help them find sponsors and funding, and then present it on YouTube episodically like they would on other platforms.
Yeah.
That's so
Instead of like
interesting.
being like in YouTube Originals where they like fund it, it's like it's the reverse. So the way it's looking is like, Brody, you have a channel that makes horror
Mhm.
stuff.
Yeah.
Like in YouTube's eyes, they would be like, cool, you've made that. Now let's get you financing of sponsors and others that directly like inject into it, so you can make like an episodic series
Yeah.
around that. That
Yeah.
makes sense. Like Subway Takes is a good example of one that's like started on YouTube now, and now they're like they're dumping into Kareem in order to make episodic, like more content. I think I can't remember what the show is that they're putting into. But what
Mhm.
I guess where I'm leading with this is that the instead of waiting for the studios to kind of say what's hot, it's the flip side
Yeah.
where the creators, you guys already have this audience that you've built that is
Yeah.
tested and tried and true, that the product that you've built has engagement and has following behind it, and then they're trying to add just gas onto the fire
Yeah.
versus like the other way around. And I find that interesting that like, you know, Hollywood clings to their old ways.
Yeah. I think that yeah, I think that YouTube has a lot of competition now. They didn't have
Mhm.
competition before TikTok and Instagram Reels and all that stuff. It was kind of like people were going one place to watch, semi long form content. And now I wonder if it's like a decision. It's a great program. It sounds
Sure.
awesome. An opportunity for content creators to be funded to continue creating like branches of whatever content that they're making. Like that's amazing.
Yeah.
And it makes me want to go over there and start making content on
Well-
YouTube. And so I think, I feel like that they're I don't know if their user like basis is down or their user what's the word I'm looking for? Their like the amount of users that they have.
Well, what they're finding is right now is that the most amount of watch hours that they're finding that TV, the segment of TV, is now generating the most amount of watch hours on their platform than
Oh, okay.
any other device.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
more than mobile
interesting.
devices.
Like living
So,
room TV?
More people watch on mobile devices, but more watch hours are watched on TV.
Oh, it's because everybody falls asleep while they're watching.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess you could say that, or people watch, the 1 hour landscape, videos.
Oh,
they
that's
make
On a
for
mobile
TV.
device?
But they're
On
but
a TV.
no, on their TV.
Oh, on their
Yeah.
TV. Okay.
Yeah. So people argue that, or they argue, but the stats that have come out have talked about that YouTube more watch time is watched on televisions on their YouTube TV app
To
than
me, it makes sense because like your probably biggest user base is, people a little younger than us to our age,
Mhm.
right? Like the generation that grew up with YouTube.
Mhm.
Yep.
And now that generation, I think, is like kind of sticking with it as long as they're willing to pivot, as long as they're willing to kind of change their model
Yeah.
and not just be about, educational videos or, comedy or, whatever videos. And now they're like streaming and stuff like that. And so like, what better way than to be able to acquire, distribution rights for current films, whatever that process looks like with streaming, but then also fund your own with the creators that are making stuff on your platform, and then have this massive library of content. To me, though, that's I think that kind of like brings up an interesting topic of. I feel like we live in this day and age of just quantity. It's all about quantity. We need more content. We need more. Yeah, we need it all the time. We need more shows on Netflix. We need more shows on YouTube. We need like everything. We need more. We need to give everybody more. And it's like, I don't know. I think everybody's kind of over more.
Sure.
And they just want to see good. They want to see quality. Because I think, I don't know. I feel like I feel like when I was growing up, they made like, better movies. But, it felt like the movies had more heart and more character and everything like that. But now we've entered this phase where it's like everybody needs their own original content and everybody has their own streaming platform. And it's just like so much.
Sure.
I also feel like there was a definite turn at some point when we were growing up where it all just became repeated content. Like when you're watching a movie, you've seen that concept before and you've seen somebody
Rinse
create
and
it.
repeat.
It was like
Yeah.
the Marvel era.
It was around
Is the Marvel
Disney buying Marvel vacation, multiverse era, I think is when that kind of started happening.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it's interesting that YouTube's trying to recapture their core creators in a way in that regard, because like you've seen the progression where people were on they were on Vine and then they went from Vine to YouTube, the more established platform. And now people are like Instagram and TikTok, and then they're some are going back to YouTube as well as a more established platform where they can keep their core audience. But I'm curious, like now we're seeing people like Michelle Carr, who does Challenge Accepted, create a TV show out of that outside of YouTube. We're seeing people like Markiplier go and make the movie that he just created and get a ton of money from that as well. And it's super successful.
Yeah.
And then also, like you were saying, the back rooms, and there are tons of other examples. But like, do you think that it's just YouTube trying to reconsolidate those people to the platform? Or do you think it's them trying to find a new venture within the people that are already watching on these TVs?
Because watch behavior. I think if YouTube was already before Vine and all of that was a long form type content, and then when Vine came around and Snapchat, that was like the first attempts at like short form content, and where short form content like caught on. And then you had TikTok and others kind of lean into that harder, where then you had short form very much become a thing, and attention spans, I would say, became smaller.
Yeah.
I think that now it's almost the pendulum swings back and forth.
Yep.
I think that we have reached the precipice of short form, and now what YouTube is saying is that there's actually more demand for long form.
Yeah.
So if you look at like Mr. Beast and some of these others, they used to go in their sweet spot was somewhere between like 10 to 20 minutes.
Yeah.
They're pushing now 30 to 40 minutes on a lot of their episodes because they find that they're getting more engaged watch time at that point, and the YouTube algorithms are pushing these longer form content pieces. So we're seeing is that like these episode times are becoming longer and the watch hours are becoming larger, and then that also helps with brand advertising. So it's almost a self-fulfilling cycle that you can get more sponsors, more money, more revenue. You can draw out your episodes. People are watching it on televisions like how they would watch cable.
Yeah.
And now, as cord cutting kind of reaches its peak, that when they're looking for alternatives, and YouTube is this free alternative that has ads, and you have Roku and these others, that's where it starts to I think you start seeing the flip. So I think it's just all coming back to like where it began.
Well, let me push back on that a little bit, because I think
Sure.
that Mr. Beast specifically stated and has said on a bunch of podcasts that his intent for making these longer form episodes, because he is used to the 15 to 20 minute time frame, and that does work super well for him, but he's trying to create these longer storylines and documentary style of videos so that he can get better at it, so that he can then, when he makes a deal with like an Amazon and goes and tries to publish on their platform, which he's done, that he has proof in the pudding that he's able to actually create that content repeatably to be able to then sell to a different sponsor outside of YouTube. So my concern is like, is YouTube then just seeing that that's happening with their largest creator, and then also these other creators are going and doing their other things on different platforms outside of YouTube, and they're like, hey, you know what? We tried YouTube Originals. That was not a success. Way back when, I think it was like 2015-ish. And those did not succeed to the degree that I think that everybody wanted them to, and the amount of money that was put into it. So that's kind of where they dip their toe in the water of, hey, let's make some high production value content and keep it on the platform. Now, these content creators are kind of like on their own, going back to that form where they're trying to create these really high quality pieces of content, but then sell it to a different provider outside of YouTube.
Yeah.
So my thought is like, maybe they're just trying to reconsolidate in a way to keep them on the platform so that they can't, break into mainstream, quote unquote, mainstream Hollywood at that point.
It's not that what they were announcing on Braincast. So Braincast is they're basically saying that the difference between what they did for YouTube Originals and what they're doing now is YouTube Originals was funded by YouTube to create like original content.
Mm-hmm.
That did not work. It's the same problem that we had when we were working with like Twitch Crown Channel, right? Very much. And what YouTube has professed is that executives don't make good selections on what, and that was in the, but that came out in the interviews, and they've been public about that. That's public knowledge. You can look it up, right?
Yeah.
That they said they're not really good at selecting stuff versus creators who create content where essentially cream rises to the top.
Right.
So on this model, on how they're trying to work, is instead say, okay, well, Kareem, you have Subway Takes, you built it, and now you have hundreds of thousands of people watching it every time you put out an episode.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. What we're going to do is we're going to help you create separate content that is around you as a creator, but instead pipeline our programmatic and our sponsors and advertisers who already work on the platform and just connect them with you directly so that they can fund the projects that are actually getting the viewership versus the flip side where they were like, where's like YouTube Original. I think they've already learned that lesson. They're keeping away from that. They're saying it's creator driven, making creators do all the work.
Yeah.
Like, let creators go. And it's the same thing that Santa Maria talks about on Kick.
Yeah.
Right. He's like, their whole method is that as production companies, we may not know what's hot, but creators will iterate and go through many ideas faster than studios could.
Mm-hmm.
And so then because of that, they'll find hotter ideas faster than we can. Our goal is to just facilitate and help elevate that content that's already coming out,
Right.
versus trying to create new IP and then reverse the funnel. So it's almost like community-driven projects that then are given more professionalism.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
So that's kind of where the next, I think they announced like seven different things. One with the Sidemen, the ones that I was looking up were they had what is it? Oop. They have ones with Jesser, Alex Cooper, Johnny Harris, Trevor Noah, Dude Perfect, Kareem, Rama, Alex Cooper.
And does YouTube fund their projects, or they just connect them with brands?
Just connect them with brands.
Okay.
So they don't want to. So that was the old model.
Yeah.
YouTube Originals,
Yeah.
where they were like, "Hey, we're gonna go and have this cool idea. There's a bunch of money. Like, make the thing."
Mm-hmm.
This is the opposite, where they're like, "Cool, like Trevor Noah, you want to do a FIFA watch party? That's sick. We have ABC X, Y, and Z
Watch party brought to you by Volkswagen.
Yeah, we have ABC X, Y, and Z partners at the YouTube level that would want to invest in your show."
Mm-hmm.
And then they connect the dots there.
Yeah.
So that then the content that's already doing well.
So they're like a talent manager.
Yeah,
for
they're
their
they're
users.
basically becoming like this. Like they're replacing marketing managers in a sense. I mean, like you'd still want a marketing manager to like negotiate your brand contracts unless you're good at negotiating yourself. But like they're connecting creators with brands so that the creators can, have a more generous income to be able to put money towards like more projects that are going to go on their platform. Like it makes sense. It's at the end of the day, that's what like every production company of some type wants, right? They want more eyes and like more eyes on their platform. And so how can we do that? We incentivize creators to stay here so that they can make more money, so they can keep making more stuff. More stuff. We need more stuff.
I must keep scrolling.
I was gonna ask you, because obviously you've been on TikTok for a while now. Have you seen viewership of how people view your content change, or like TikTok meta, so to speak, since you started in
Yeah.
like the uh I just forgot the name of the content that you started with.
Like Twilight and social
Twilight.
media,
So
or
yeah,
like the
to more like
comedy.
the horror stuff
Yeah.
now. Like, have you seen consumption on TikTok and like TikTok meta change since you started and like where it's heading?
Mm, yeah, I mean, I guess I don't post as frequently as I used to because I'm trying to like juggle, making my way into the filmmaking industry while and like writing feature length scripts and also creating like like good short form content that has like a lot of quality to it.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of like space in between the stuff that I post now, but generally what I discover is if I'm like excited while I'm making it, if I'm having a good time while I'm making it, and if it's like a somewhat relatable scenario, it's going to be well received and it's going to do well. And yeah, like the videos that I've been posting, the new videos that I post are anywhere from like a minute to a minute and a half, which is a lot longer than what I was doing years ago, which was like 5 to 15 seconds.
Really?
So I have like kind of like moved into longer form, and I've done like short films and
Sure.
anywhere that have been anywhere from like 10 to 15 minutes long. Um, but yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that, yeah, we're starting to see a people crave more like long form content.
Sure.
So it sounds like a pretty smart idea that, yeah, like YouTube is pivoting to that way of that, or that business model. I'm not like, yeah,
Let's say
yeah,
based on and so going back to something that we talked about a little bit earlier, we've obviously talked about how like because they're moving to these more professional type shows, obviously the equipment, the crews, the things that they have to do have to become more professional.
hmm
How's been your transition from doing some of those short 10 to 15 seconds to now you're like, hey, I have this script. I have to go, talk to a
yeah,
DP unless you
yeah,
are the DP
yeah,
and I need to get this certain shot and I need this person to do these things.
yeah.
How has that changed for you? What's been the biggest challenge?
Uh, it was. I think it was just becoming a little more aware of the Atlanta film community.
Okay.
And meeting, you know, all of these indie filmmakers that like do really great work, and starting those connections. So it was definitely a big change. Like I remember the day that I decided like I want to do something bigger, longer, and like I want to sink my teeth into something longer than just 30 seconds,
Mm.
and I was like flying to LA, and I was super high on the plane, and I was,
Altitude sickness, guys.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Super high in the sky.
High in
Yeah,
the
high
sky.
in the sky. And
Lot of
I
feet in the air.
like pumped out like a 20-page short, which was like way too long. So then I did some like rewrites and like got it down to like 12 or 13 pages, and then I was like, great, like now what? Like who do I talk to? And I got connected with a great buddy of mine who I still talk to now. He's out in LA, Andrew, and he kind of like, he had more experience in the filmmaking space. I think he was at the time he was working at like a rental warehouse. I think he was working at like Cinder or something.
Okay.
So and so like he had like all the connections. Like he became my producer. And from there, yeah, you start to like get a better understanding on how the film, how to actually make the film works.
Mhm.
It's more tame, than doing a feature film, and having to communicate with like all of these different departments and these different people, and but it's like a micro scale version of that, and it's been a fun process. That's been the most fun for me, is like learning how going from how the industry works, from like the front end and like creating the art, all the way to like the back end and like the business and the distribution and like how all of that works. And that's what I'm starting to discover and learn more about now as I have these like conversations with these production companies and just getting an idea like where the money comes from, where the money goes.
How distribution works.
It's like a fascinating science, like in and of its own. Like you have basically, these big companies like Blumhouse and A24 and Focus Features and New Line Cinema. These are all like extremely large production companies that already have relationships with essentially, I think they're called regions. Okay. But no, they're called territories, but it's regions of
territories.
Yeah. Like we got to sell it to this territory.
Yeah.
Sounds like
Lords
hell divers or something. Like, we got to capture the territory.
Yeah.
But they have relationships with all of these theaters and everything, and so they have a film that they like that they think is theater worthy. But then there's like a whole data science that goes into it. They look at like the ethnicity of the main character or like the ethnicity of like other characters and like what, if the movie's in English or Spanish or whatever. And they will like target those territories because they know that like people are going to, see the trailer, they're going to see the main character and they're going to be like, oh, that I kind of like see myself in that character. Now I want to go see that movie. So it's a really fascinating, and I wonder how deep Markiplier went, or if he worked with a sales agent and like
a fixer,
someone else who knows the distribution side really well, or if he kind of like did it all himself and looked at all, because I mean content creators have that data. Yeah. That they can pull up all of their metrics. They can be like, okay, a lot of my views are coming out of this country. This is like the sex of most of my views. And so now we're going to target this area because a lot of people and like a lot of my followers are here. So there's a lot that you can do as an individual. It's a lot more work, and it's as a creative, I think at the end of the day, we just want to focus on the creative. I'm fascinated by the business side, and like I like learning more about it just because I want to be well versed in the industry that I'm going to be in. But I think like at my core, I really enjoy the more artistic side. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot that you can do as an individual. There's also a lot that a company could do for you as a conglomerate, like when it comes to distribution. But there's also the big possibility of them saying no. Like they may just not see your vision, even though as the individual that your vision is going to succeed because you've had all of these different, tests or reels or whatever, shorts that prove that your concept works and is viewable and people like it. But it still comes down to, at the end of the day, this CEO being like, I don't know if my partners are going to work well with this content. So I'm not going to take that. But then again, like Markiplier you're mentioning, I think he did a bunch of cold calls to movie theaters and just asked if we could just screen it there. Like instead of going through a huge
talk about like a bootstrap story.
Yeah, man.
That's like someone who just started off in content and, maybe he had the same meetings that I've had, but like he got a lot of pushback and he was just like, screw it. I'm going to do it myself.
Like kind of shows
Thanos meme.
I mean,
I'll do it myself.
It's very much. Well, I feel it's very much the filmmaker trend even right now. You look at like Sinners is a good example of someone who stuck to his creative guns. It's like
I have the vision.
Yeah, I have the vision. Don't screw with my vision. It's gonna work.
Yeah.
It's gonna work.
I heard a story that, at least for me, one of the best moments in that film is the musical, like when the blending of like different cultures and different times are coming together. And there was an executive that was like, do we need this? And I'm like, bro, why would you ask that? Like, this is the best part of the movie.
Beautiful part of the movie.
Like why? Yes, we need it. Yes, we need it. And so that kind of circles back to what was it that YouTube that said that executives don't often make like the best creative choices or pick the most creative ideas.
They're not tapped in.
It's okay. You're just using a different part of your brain, you know? And you've built this business, you make like really good business decisions, but like there are people who they're very in, they're very in with culture. They're very in with the time. They know what's trending. So just like put a little trust into these people that take the time to have conversations, to go out and like meet other cultures, to like talk to people, to be on their phones and keep up with what's going on in the world. And
I think that's super important too, because like here at FQS, one of our things is that we consume the content that we make.
Yeah.
Like as Cody being our CEO, he's business focused and minded, obviously, but he's also consuming the content that we make.
I do believe that there are people that can do both for sure.
Yeah. And that's where
there are
people
who can
succeed.
do both. I think it's usually up at these like these really big and successful production companies where it's like, I mean, you eventually, I feel like when you, this is me kind of just like spitballing, but I feel like when you want to grow past a certain point, like you need people who are going to like really just focus on the business side, and then you need people that are going to focus on the creative side. And there's always going to be room for like people who do both.
Absolutely. And I'd say even to go further with that is that, these companies have probably been established for so long, 50 plus to 100 years, right? And at that point, the original founding members probably aren't even a part of the picture anymore.
Yeah.
And when you're transitioning out of that role, it's going to be like, oh, let me find somebody that's really good at doing the CEO job.
Yeah.
And pull them in to be the best CEO, because that's the job that they can be. But then the visionary that was driving the force of the company that was also possibly consuming the content, that's no longer a factor.
Yeah.
But, so that could be a little bit of it too.
Brian's Tech Tips, I think he is a good example of a creator who realized at some point that he didn't need to be sitting in the business driver's seat, and he was best served in the creative seat. Right. And so he hired a CEO and then he moved into creative. I think you said Helldivers earlier. It's also the same thing with that CEO. He realized that he needed somebody in the business seat, and then he wanted to focus on the creative. John Kyle's staff.
Okay.
It's okay.
But he moved in from the CEO seat to the creative seat. He knew that he was a better creative than he was an officer.
That's what I've imagined for, because I have like a very like by small production company. Like I don't have a facility. Like I operate in my garage.
Yeah.
Sure, I get it.
And I'm just like, it's just me. But that's how I imagined Well Pro at some point. Like when I don't know, when I feel like the stars align, then it's like, okay, I need to find like a CEO, like someone to run the business side where I am just the creative. I'm doing my own ideas, but I'm also like reading other people's scripts, and we're doing like other people's ideas. We're telling the stories that we want to tell, but like I don't have the capacity, like, and because I think in order to be like a really solid creative, you have to put your heart and soul into it. You got to put your everything into it. You got to put all your time into it. And I just wouldn't have the time to balance the business side. And the more business you bring in, the more like that side is needed. You know what I mean?
I want to pivot the conversation to this point. Do you feel like you're able to be more authentic now that you're in horror, in that horror genre?
Yeah,
than you were before?
Yeah, I think that's like the kind of the struggle that a lot of comedians face is wanting to be taken seriously because we're goofballs and because we, have been making people crack up all the time.
Yeah, watching Adam Sandler do a horror movie would be kind of hard.
I
Key and
don't
Peele.
know, man. Have you seen Uncut Gems?
I mean, I saw. Well, I didn't. Well, it was Uncut Gems a horror? I thought it was more a drama than it was a horror.
It's a drama for sure, but like
Yeah.
after seeing that, I'm like, I bet Adam Sandler could make a killer horror.
Oh, I
You know?
absolutely believe he could.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the idea of breaking out of your own niche where you've put yourself and stereotyped yourself as a comedian, and that is where you think that only your followership would be.
Yeah.
But in reality, you've got the skill set to transition that into other versions or other genres, be it horror or drama or whatever. You've got the timing as
Yeah.
the comedian.
Yeah.
And that's why comedians make some of the best directors and writers within Hollywood, is because they see the big picture of what the audience is going to perceive on the screen, and then they can make it happen. Similar to like Key and Peele.
Yeah.
You know, they've gone and I forget if it was Key or if it was Peele, but they've gone and created these horror movies.
Jordan Peele.
Yeah.
Jordan Peele. That's right. Thank you. Because they were a comedic group, but he's now a super serious and extremely
That's
talented director, specifically
Yeah.
making these awesome horror movies.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you can definitely transition it, but I think it's mostly the fear of transitioning it to horror or to a different genre, and then also like having enough confidence in yourself to know that you can do it too. And I think that you've done that. You've broken into the horror genre and you've made a lot of success there. I'm curious because I wanted to talk a little bit about what we do in comparison to what you do,
Yeah.
which is where we're fully focused on live streaming, creating content for somebody that's watching right now. Like we're live now, for instance. So my question is, with your expertise within the horror genre, do you think it's possible that you could capture the live audience the way that you do with your shorts or your clips?
Yeah.
Do you think that that's an easy transition?
Yeah, we're starting to see like live horror, like staged horror. You know, they're doing like Paranormal Activity on Broadway.
Oh,
Yeah.
Really?
I haven't seen it, but apparently it's like really good.
Hmm.
And so I think that there's definitely a way to live stream horror. I think it just depends on like what you want to do at the end of the day. Like, do you genuinely want your audience to be scared? Or do you want them to watch someone being scared?
Be scared, right?
To
then
be
that almost
scared?
comes off comedic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're watching because like if you're watching, a streamer that you frequent all the time, and maybe they're like a wacky streamer, they got a lot of energy, and then there's all the scary stuff happening around them. It's like, it's the same reason you'll scroll on your phone and you'll watch a video that is like a jump scare. Like, it's going to end up being like their partner scaring them as they come home, because it's like funny to watch the person get scared. But I think like capturing like actually scaring the viewer is a lot harder.
Yeah.
And
it is very
but I think it's
difficult.
possible.
I think it's possible too. I think it just requires a lot of expertise with the timing and control of the content you're trying to produce.
You also need to work with no names. You can't have like a name on
True.
there, because the moment that you have some kind of like social media person, it's like, oh, this is stagecraft.
This has been fabricated.
This has been
for
fabricated. This isn't real. I think like
Interesting.
this is just like my personal experience. I think like, horror is subjective. Like, some people will be afraid of aliens, some people won't. But what terrifies me is like towing the line between like if it's real or if it's like paranormal. And that is a very like delicate balance, because the moment that you lean too much into the paranormal, it's like, oh, this is fake. This is like reality
Control
breaking.
room,
There's no
Yeah.
way this is real.
Yeah.
But if you are very delicate about it, and you're working with no names, so people can't, because like I remember watching the Blair Witch.
Okay.
And it was never, I had never seen a found footage horror film. And I remember as a kid watching it being like, oh my God, this is real. There's a witch in this fucking woods, man. We gotta find the witch. Blair. But it was like reality breaking, because they worked with it wasn't any celebrities. I remember also kind of watching Close Encounters with the Fourth Kind. That's another sort of, it's like
the fourth kind.
With a fourth kind. It's like a documentary style, but then they also do a reenactment with a well-known actress. She's the main actress in the Resident Evil series. Can't remember her name. But she's in it, but she does like the reenactments, kind of like when you watch like those crime shows and it's like documentary
right.
of like the people, giving their bios and everything. And then it like, it's Fourth Kind. Trust me, you guys. Yes.
Oh, okay.
The Fourth Kind is.
Oh, I was like Close Encounter. I was like, that's.
Yeah. No, Fourth Kind is like actually abduction, I think. So yeah, that title wouldn't make sense. But this is great. It's and granted, it's not live, and so I think to circle back to what we were talking about, it's Mila Jovovich. Yeah. It's
Really?
it's just
That was,
tough. I think it's going to take like a lot of.
Is she in The Third Element?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of number movies. What kind?
What's
The Third
up with that?
Element.
Was it The Fourth Element?
The Fourth Element.
Are you sure?
Yes.
They're both 4. What does that mean, dog?
Shit.
Dude.
Aliens, dude. I'm telling you. 4.
Element. No, not.
It's a fifth element.
We're all wrong.
Cody, your nerd card. You just revoked both of ours. God,
It's
Yeah,
okay.
sorry.
I can't read. It's fine.
What is this timer, man? It keeps changing.
What is time, man?
It's at like 3, then it's at 12. Now it's back down to 3.
I don't know. I think
I don't know.
it's supposed to tell us that we're live or something.
Oh, okay.
But I was curious. So when you're creating your shorter form content, or now transitioning hopefully into a longer form short movie style content, there's obviously a lot of prep and plan that goes into it.
Right.
So there's the whole idea of getting it to the point where it's ready to be then sold to a producer or, a company that's willing to take it on, that investment, or there's that entire prep stage, then there's the shooting stage, then there's the editing stage. Like there's all of this that makes it come to a head and become the amazing piece of content that you are able to make. With what we do, we've got all of the first portion of that, and the second portion, we don't have any of the last portion of it. There's no editing that we do in post. So I'm curious, do you think that it's possible for us to have so much preparation and planning going into a live streamed event that doesn't require any of the polish that you'd see with the editing booth?
Yeah. I think that it takes. It's going to take a lot of planning. It's not something like it would take months and months of renting spaces, of contacting your local police and letting them know what's going on so that the police don't randomly show up because it's a live event. This is definitely the comedic side, but Scare Tactics. Scare Tactics did that. But it wasn't ever scary. It was always just some person in a wig, chasing people down on the street. And when you know that it's fake, you're laughing as a viewer.
Exactly.
But I think, if you take whatever your story is, if it is paranormal and there is a live recording of an exorcism or something and it goes viral, and you'd have to do your research, you'd have to contact your police in the case that people start watching and they're yo, we need to help this person.
This is real.
Yeah.
Send the authorities.
Yeah. So I just think that takes a lot of planning and a lot of creative juices.
Yeah.
Probably more so than an actual, because it also depends on how long you want the live stream to be. If you want it to be a feature length movie and it's an hour and a half long live stream, that would you'd need basically your whole script written out.
Yeah.
You need to write the script. You'd have to do probably more planning than usual because you'd need production insurance and you'd need to contact, it's just all this stuff.
I know that.
We've
All of
I know
the
that
production
battle.
insurance.
we've done a live stream here.
A haunted house. I didn't
Haunted
get it till
house.
I wasn't able to get the insurance until 10 minutes before we shot.
Yeah.
Same. When I did a short film, and
Well, I got denied from everyone, but
It was like quadruple the price.
it was quadruple the price. It was
Oh,
basically
yeah.
paying ransom to terrorists.
oh yeah,
All the people, all the haunted houses all the insurance that did haunted houses didn't like that it was a reality show, and all the ones that were reality shows didn't like and wouldn't support that it was a haunted house,
oh, okay.
and so it basically made this like weird.
They probably also heard that. Oh,
Reality
he needs this insurance in 10 minutes. All right.
No, that's entirely how it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Pay this ransom, or you don't have to do your show. It's fine.
God.
It's fine.
God.
Yeah, we don't care. Yeah. Anyways, I'm sorry.
Another question I was curious about is, and Cody, chime in, of course, if you have input, but like when it comes to live horror content and consuming that content, I totally agree with you, actually, that I think that the people that are on screen, if you're watching it from a third person perspective, like the people are watching us now, that they can't be like named actors or actresses. I think that do actually need to be no names. But, and that's the whole concept, is where you're like going through Netherworld. For instance, this is a haunted house here in Georgia. You're going through Netherworld, and let's say we're live streaming it and we're catching them as they walk through that horror house, and you watch them get scared, but you're not there to see the scare necessarily. It's around the corner, but you're having fun watching them. I think that there are two aspects of it. Like if we're actually trying to invoke terror in the audience's eyes, you have to put them as the eyes, where you're a first person, you're a GoPro on top of somebody's head, maybe,
Yeah.
like actually walking through it from their perspective.
Yeah.
And at that point, I feel like it doesn't matter if it's a big name or a no name, as long as you're seeing it through their lens and you're catching the moment that they're getting scared as well. I could see that like being something that's
The part that's I guess that's tricky to me now that like we're talking more about it, and I'm starting to, because like how if the purpose is to create a horror live stream, how do you get the viewers in there without a name? In which case, like you could use a name. You could like hire a social media creator. Maybe this creator is like, I don't know, someone who does like parkour, or they they break into places, whatever their content is, and then you work with them and hope to God that they know how to act, because then it's like, because if you have somebody who can't sell the performance, then you're screwed.
Sure.
But they break into a warehouse,
So it's
or a
just real
haunted
horror.
house.
It's just getting into abandoned places that aren't abandoned, and then it becomes reality shows.
for
really
real.
fast.
That
Yeah.
is actually something that has been the case previously. And this is why things like the paranormal movies just take off. It's because you're going into a place that's unknown, and it feels like it couldn't have been staged in advance. So like, I know that there was a production company called Rooster Teeth, and they did a series where they would take a lot of their creators and bring them to different haunted houses to test to see if they were truly haunted, or if it was a fabrication, or if it was just all hearsay. And they did this entire show around just taking their creators there to do a proper like paranormal investigation, but they were honest about it. They didn't hide the fact that, wait, we've got an entire production crew following us around for this, and we're curious if it's real. So let's go in there.
Yeah.
Let's listen with our EMF reader or paranormal sensors or whatever, and see if anything's there or if there isn't. And then what happens isn't necessarily that there's staged moments. It's more so that they just scare themselves into thinking that something's going on, when maybe it's not. Maybe it's literally just a creak in the floor.
Yeah.
And they're like, Deb, what was that? So, I think that there are ways that you could set it up so that it could just be a genuine scenario where you're actually going into a place that is like considered a scary environment. But there's also other stages you could play on. Like, I know that there are stages that have already been created in the way that they're just a video game. Like we've got Helldivers. It's not quite scary, but that's the one that we mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
It could be scary for some
kind
people.
of maybe scary.
You've got other games.
Scares me.
Other
On level 10. On level 10, it can get really scary out of
Alien
overwhelming.
Alien
Maybe.
Isolation. There's a huge genre for horror,
Yeah.
scare,
Or Alien Isolation.
type
Or Fear.
games.
Actually, Fear's a great game.
Dead by Daylight. Like these are live action multiplayer games, for instance, that are able to scare you, even though it's live action where you're playing with other people in the game as well.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
Fear was very much one player. But did you ever play Fear?
Mm-mm.
Oh my God, that game was what? You never played Fear either? Brody, if you like a textbook horror like game about like the best people talk about is Fear. It was a first-person shooter game, but it was basically about someone who was losing their mind
Oh, okay.
while they were playing it. So you would like, there was definitely moments in there. Like you even just play the demos, and the demos were like wild. You'd be going through the school, and then something would come out of the floor and then rip this dude in half, and then the lights would blink, and then
It's gone.
like it's gone,
Yeah.
and then like just a couple of chairs are moved, or
We're starting
then,
to see a lot
like,
of
you climb up a ladder and there's this girl there, and you're
Yeah.
like, what the and then you turn back and then there's no one there.
yeah.
And so then it's also playing with you as the player, being like, am I actually seeing this,
Yeah.
or is the game just like messing with me?
Yeah.
Well, when you're playing games with a linear story progression, like the issue with that, if incorporating it into live, is that you've probably already had people that have played those games and understand what's going to happen and probably ruin it in chat, that kind of thing. I'm still thinking from that perspective.
Yeah. No, Fear was before the live stream realm.
Oh, okay.
So like you didn't really see it ahead of time. And even if it was, it's like then how the horror game has kind of changed. Like when you think of like Slender Man,
Right.
where it was like
Yeah.
Slender Man was very basic, even though it was streamed, it still, no matter what, kind of like messed you up when
Yeah.
you're playing it, because each time kind of was different.
Yeah.
So I knew that Slender Man was gonna come get me. I just didn't know when. I didn't know
He's
where.
so slender.
Yeah.
He's gonna come. He's gonna get you.
He's gonna get you.
He's gonna get you. But you knew that, and you could watch 18 videos on it, but that still isn't
Yeah.
gonna mess it up when you're like, oh shit, that's the guy.
Yeah.
Or like, have you seen like the creepy gas station ones? Where you have to like manage the gas station.
Yes, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, these games are so
seen that one?
scary.
I haven't seen those. I've seen the
It's like-
where you play the like mortician and you're
Oh,
I've
working
seen that
on
one.
the bodies and
I've seen that one.
yeah.
This one is like you're managing a gas station, and you have to determine whether someone's a skinwalker or not.
Oh.
And then
I think that's Among Us.
Yeah, essentially. But then a part of it is that if you don't classify them right, then like bad things happen at
Yeah.
night, and then you have to try to not get got,
yeah.
like, and just survive your shift.
I feel like I
Mhm.
just saw a video about this, so it's funny that you bring it up.
Yeah.
Because like everything that you're describing was
Now
like
I say
the
it, now
gameplay
your
that
phone's
I
just
saw.
going to serve you all of them, and you'd be like,
Oh yeah, man.
damn it. Oh.
That's a horror story right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like we're starting to see this increase in a lot of video game IPs turning into films, and a lot of them are horror.
Yeah.
A lot of people that I talk to are like, "Do you have like any games that you play that like you really want to like see turned into a
Oh, it's
horror?"
basically like back rooms trying to.
yeah,
or-
But
Basically.
video game
Yeah.
instead of it being a web series, but it would just be like the actual game developers maybe designing their game in a way that is also able to be
Yeah.
told on a film screen as well.
hmm
So, yeah, you're totally right about that. The adaptation between those two genres is definitely out there for sure. Like with what Markiplier did. What was the name of the game?
Iron Lung.
Iron Lung.
I don't
Or,
know.
yeah, Iron Lung.
But I think that like the grocery store one has already been done. It was like called The Mist.
Mm.
yeah,
It was The Mist, is where
It's
everyone
like-
got trapped in a grocery store, and then you couldn't go outside the grocery store, otherwise you got.
Yeah.
And then the mist went away.
it's very like Lovecraftian, because all the creatures were Lovecraft. That's like one of Stephen King's Lovecraft books.
Were they?
Yeah, it's a Stephen King book.
Oh.
I think
Yes.
it's a very, very good pairing. Is you've got a horror video game and then horror movie. Like you could have the horror movie, like Alien Isolation is the game that comes after that, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, you've got Iron Lung, the game, with Markiplier creating this movie after it. Like they pair very well because it's just storytelling.
Yeah.
It all comes down to timing and storytelling at the end of the
You know what? I think something to keep in mind, if this is a path that you guys like continue to explore, is at least I feel like what really amplifies fear is isolation, like Alien Isolation. But like when you're watching a creator and they're by themselves,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe they are doing they're in a house that's notoriously haunted, and so they're doing a night there, but then you do have to maybe orchestrate it, maybe you don't, I don't know, like maybe stuff will naturally happen, but obviously it would be better to orchestrate certain things to really drive the fear up. But also like I almost wonder if like another path worth exploring is like finding some like underground network of like community, and like, yes, a creator is breaking into a like a space they're not allowed to break into, but obviously, you get all the permits, you make sure like local PD is aware, and the streamer live streams, and you orchestrate and set up this whole like him going underground, and then he finds some like it's almost like Hostel. Like you have like so much IP that you can like be inspired from. You can like watch all of these horror movies and think to yourself like, how can I make this a live stream?
Yeah.
And yeah. So I think that there's a realm where that's possible for sure.
We'll have a live stream of just The Shining, some girl crawling out of a TV.
Oh yeah.
People.
They see that, but that's when it gets like reality break.
Yeah,
And that's what I'm talking about. You
Yeah.
have to find that like
the
really
comedy right
delicate
there.
balance. You got to find the delicate balance on like what's going to be like fun and entertaining, which like is always great to make at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Or like what is really going to scare people.
Mm.
And yeah, the moment creepy girl crawls out of television, it's like, this is cool, but I don't think this is real.
I think I'm out of it.
Is
But
it?
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, we're running out of time for today. Looking at takeaways, looking at wrap ups on this, right? What do you feel? So obviously, we've gone a little bit over live streaming, and that we feel horror can blend well for people who are trying to make that transition from content creator to like professional filmmaker, or where we're seeing this more and more often. Are there learning lessons, or are there lessons you'd want to instill in creators who are trying to make that, and how you could help them?
Well, I feel like I probably shouldn't be giving advice because I haven't made a movie yet.
Yeah.
No, but I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like, I think just doing the thing, man. Like, and it always like kind of low key pisses me off, because when I was younger and I was like, doing my research, and you watch all these interviews of like Steven Spielberg and these hotshot directors being like, what's your advice to younger people? And they're like, just like pick up a camera and make something. You almost want to be like, no, man, you know how to do it. You're just not telling me. You're not telling me how to get in, but that is how you get in.
I think
that's how you do it.
Secret sauce.
You just pick up.
You prove that what you can do is adequate enough to be
Yeah.
skilled.
You just create and keep making stuff. And if you want to transition to short form into long form, that means like your short form takes, less brain power. You're writing, like your scripts are shorter, you're editing for not as long and all that stuff. So now you have to be ready to designate like more chunks of time into everything that goes into creating. You can't just like jump feet first into like, I want to make a feature film. It's like, no, you got to learn how to respect the craft and be good at it, because that's the only way that you're going to separate yourself from anybody else, is by being good and sharing unique stories. So I guess that would be my advice.
I think that's perfect. I think that's a perfect end to a perfect podcast, right? Really appreciate you.
It's a wrap.
Yeah, it's a wrap. Really appreciate you coming on the show this week.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for coming out. But that's our episode 9.
9.
I got it right. You
got one number right today.
I'm gonna get the number. Yeah,
The 9th element.
the 9th element.
Yeah.
We'll move on to the 10th element. But guys, it's been a pleasure to have you along for the ride. We'll see you guys next week.
Can I get a shout out for your socials real quick?
Yes.
Shout out for my socials.
Yeah.
Brody Wellmaker on Instagram and TikTok.
And TikTok.
And TikTok.
Cool.
Yeah.
TikTok.
Is that what a shout out for my socials
That
means?
I guess it showed up. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Whatever rolling out the red carpet of.
I
what
like
you
to
wanna
think that I'm an
post.
extrovert and pretty social.
How do I human again?
Being on this week's show. We'll see you guys next week. I'm Cody.
Garrett.
I'm Brody.
Pleasure to have you all. See you on the next one.
Bye, everybody.
That felt like a sign off.
Good sign off.
That was a sign off.